New York session, we're going to be going over how you can use order flow to master your entry trades, right? So the learning objectives for this particular video are going to be, so ES futures, right? Trade recap. We're going to be mastering at the London and the Asian session to help you trade the New York session. Why a pre-market game plan is so important, why using the 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is a great particular time in the markets, especially if you're a New York trader, to use to your advantage, mastering your entry models in the New York session, determining how to use the Asian and the London session to help determine your entries in terms of liquidity and where big players are getting in and out of the markets, and overall improving your psychology as a New York trader. So first we need to understand, why is the London and Asian session so important, right? So the Asian session builds liquidity. So if you look over here on the screen, what you can see here is the Asian session in orange. So the Asian session is from 8 p.m. to New York midnight opening price, right? So 8 p.m. to New York midnight, right, which is the opening price. The London session you can see here in blue typically was a range, and this is going to be very important. Then we see the pre-New York session. So pre-New York session is an hour before the New York opening time, or when the S&P 500 opens, which is at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. is a very critical time if you're making a pre-market game plan. So why is the London session so important? So why do you as a New York trader need the London session? So the London session will often sweep liquidity, right? But when the London session leaves some Asian liquidity on the table, this is important. So later on in the trading in the case study, we're going to be going over how you can use this. And basically what's going on is that the London session doesn't actually sweep the Asian low, and neither does the opening, the 1 hour before the New York session, right? Before the 9:30 a.m. Eastern, we see an aggressive wick, but the Asian low has remained intact. This is basically a target, right? So why is the pre-market game plan important? So in the private community, I actually made a pre-market game plan just over here. So my pre-market game plan is something I make around 9 to 9:30 Eastern, right? So 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So the pre-market game plan is a very important part of the overall market trading, right? So a pre